Alright, this is a follow-up video to the last one I did about Anduin the Beardy, a case study. It's interesting in that a few people noticed some things. First, one person commented that, and I hope this person's watching again, you know, you might benefit from what I've got to share, hopefully. If not, you know, we'll figure it out, hopefully. So what was going on with Anduin? He had coccidia, but the other issue, they did a CT scan and noticed that he had fat pressing around his lungs. And I showed that in the video somewhere. Yeah, right there. CT scan. I don't know how to read these, but it's neat that they did that. But they were able to see he had internal fat that was pressing on his lungs, so that was probably why he was breathing through his mouth. And that's why his owner thought he had a respiratory infection, which they didn't see any other signs other than that. So it's good they did the CT scan and learned, okay, we need to adjust his diet somehow, get him more exercise, get the fat gone, so he can breathe better. So pause it right there for just a minute. But somebody commented that they did x-rays. So it doesn't have to be a CT scan, it could be x-rays. Came back very overweight. Lungs are being compressed by the fat, and that's why she was breathing with her mouth open. Okay, so a good friend watches these who also does a reptile rescue. I can't call mine a reptile rescue. I rescued one, so technically, okay. But he said that after he did this video, he got a comment, and we'll cover that comment in a minute. That's a second issue. But he did this video about his a rescue, and he was showing all the stuff that bearded dragon had previously had that came with her. And here we go. So one of the people watching his stuff was a vet and sent him a private message, I think on Instagram, and said, hey, you know, we're discovering that there's an ingredient in some of these things, especially this one, that is causing internal fat around the lungs, and it's fish meal. So here is the product right here. It's Fluker's Buffet Blend of Adult Bearded Dragon Food, and in the pictures, yeah, you got the ingredients, and you can go up here and see, okay, does it have fish meal right there? Yes, it does have fish meal. All these byproducts, you know, when you go to the store and you buy fish, you know, fish sticks or, you know, fish patties, or you go and you're not getting the whole fish, they've taken parts off, okay? Or if you go buy vegetables, you're getting part of that plant, not the whole plant. So they're doing stuff with the skins of vegetables, with the, you know, with all these parts that we're not buying. They usually go into pet food, and that can be called, you know, right here we've got corn gluten meal, we've got cornmeal, we've got chicken meal. They're all called different kinds of things depending on the process. So fish meal, what's interesting about that, first of all, it can cause fat to happen around the lungs. So if you're feeding this to your dragon, they're mouth breathing, but they don't seem sick otherwise, maybe stop feeding them this. And as Animal One Guy pointed out in that video, these can be good if you're trying to get them to work up an appetite. Sometimes you rescue a dragon, or you have a dragon and they get sick, they don't want to eat, they don't like what you're feeding them, and they go on a hunger strike. Well, you give them a few treats, you know, to get their appetite up, so they'll go to the food bowl. So it's understandable, but for this to be kind of a staple in their diet, even weekly, would be too much. There's another thing that it does that he shared with me that was really interesting, and it has to do with B1 vitamin. And he shared 2 websites. So I'm going to put these links in the description, and this can be your starting point, okay? This isn't, you know, medical text. You know, this isn't herpetology textbook from a university. This is, you know, people trying to get a website out that's easy to read, that people can look through and try to figure out what's wrong with the reptile, feed them better, give them better lighting, better supplements. So down here, I mean, this is part 2, you know, You could find part 1 and find more, but we've got thiamine B1. It's caused by feeding items that contain the enzyme thiaminase. So you want thiamine, you don't want thiaminase because it strips the thiamine. So let's see. Caused by feeding the enzyme thiaminase rather than by feeding a thiamine deficient diet, thiaminase breaks down the stored supply of thiamine. Feeding amounts of vegetables that have been frozen can create this problem. It's necessary for proper development of function of nervous tissue. So what someone posted on his video was that they had gone to the vet and their dragon had movement issues. They weren't sure what it was, not showing MBD, head movements continued. It was head wobbling, jerky movements. So what she found out was there was a thiamine issue. So her vet told her fish meal has thiaminase in it. So not only does it cause fat to surround your lungs, but it also has thiaminase, which is not good. So you don't want to feed this to them. You don't want to freeze their vegetables. So that's 2 things that are really good to know. Might not have anything to do with the morph, you know. That's something that, you know, people do notice more issues with the morphs, but it might not always be that. Could be what you're feeding them. So I'm thankful for that comment. He said after his video, a vet messaged him and said the same thing, because he's on Instagram. So he can get those messages privately, which, you know, I'm glad people do post publicly, but I understand the private ones. So he was watching my video and he saw these pellets here and he messaged me and said, hey, I've got some information for you. So very, very thankful for him doing that so I could do this video and put this out there. So that's how that's going. So hopefully, Trisha, I hope that you watch this, and you know, if you're also feeding those food pellets, you know, maybe that's the problem. You know, if you cut those out of the diet, or if you're, you know, definitely don't freeze the food. So it's interesting to find those things out. So I'm going to put all of these links in the description. You can look at these yourself. There's another one I'm going to post. This was someone else talking about freezing leafy greens and the issues. So you can look at these websites. Just consider this kind of a starting point for you. This is, we're all still doing research, and we're trying to get information out there to help you guys. So thank you so much for watching. If you know somebody that's had this issue, please share this video with them. And good luck. Let's keep our dragons healthy. Thank you so much. And next time, I promise I'll do a fun video with some actual dragons in it. So have a good day.